Here we're going to talk about proportions. Proportions are a way to relate ratios. It means that two ratios are equal. If you don't know what a ratio is, you need to watch the video on Facebook. The way that we can express a ratio is as a fraction. So one type of question you're going to see will be something like, which of the following forms a proportion? And you'll have a multiple choice question. So one answer might be 3/5 equals 15/26. Another question or another answer possibility might be 17/20 equals 51/60, and maybe another answer is 3/8 equals 65/160. So in a proportion, by definition, the two ratios, or the two fractions as we have them written here, have to be equal. So the answer is going to be, when is this true? When are these two fractions equal? If you don't know how to do that, you need to watch the video on comparing fractions. So there's a couple of ways to do it. One is just to do a division using your calculator, 3 divided by 5 and then 15 divided by 26, and see if you get the same answer. The other way to do it is by cross multiplication. So we have 3 times 26 and 15 times 5. Well, 3 times 26 is 78. 15 times 5 is 75. Well, 78 and 75 are not equal, so this is not true. 3/5 does not equal 15/26, so this does not form a proportion, because in a proportion they have to be equal. We'll do the same thing with this one. We'll just do a cross multiplication. 17 times 60, 51 times 20. 17 times 60 is 1020. 51 times 20 is 1020. Those are the same number. Therefore, these two fractions are equal. Therefore, this is a proportion. And that's the right answer. Once you have the right answer, you don't need to go to any of the other answers, so you can go on to the next problem. The next type of problem you're going to see regarding proportions generally has to do with rate of work. So for example, you might see Ken works 4 hours to make 20 widgets. At the same rate, and that is a key to know you're going to have to do a proportion problem. When you see at the same rate, how many widgets can he make in 7 hours? So if it takes him 4 hours to make 20 widgets, how many widgets can he make in 7 hours? So the way you're going to set up the problem is, like we saw before, as ratios expressed as a fraction. So if in 4 hours he makes 20 widgets, so you just look at the first half of the question. Now here we've put hours on top in the numerator, and we've put widgets on the bottom in the denominator. Now in a proportion, remember, it has to be equal to something. So we have this ratio equals, and then we try to fill in the blanks here. Well, we have hours on top. Here it's 7 hours, so we're going to put 7 on top. How many widgets? So we're trying to figure out what the widgets are. So that's our x. That's what we're trying to solve for. So we have 4 over 20 equals 7 over x, and we're going to solve for x, and we're going to do it like we did before with a cross multiplication. 4 times x, which is 4x, equals 7 times 20. So 4x equals 140. To get x by itself, so we solve for x, we're just going to divide each side by 4, and we get x equals 35. So if he works 4 hours to make 20 widgets, in 7 hours he's going to make 35 widgets. We'll do one more example like this. Jane makes 23 cogs. in 4 hours at the same rate. Keywords. You know you're doing a proportion. How many hours will it take to make 42 cogs? So we'll first set up our first ratio. 23 cogs in 4 hours. 23 to 4. We're going to put cogs on top, hours on the bottom. So it's very important that you follow, if you're putting cogs on the top on this side, you have to put cogs on the top on this side and hours on the bottom. So now that's going to equal something. So cogs on top, so it's going to be 42 on top, and hours is what we're looking for. So that's our x. Then we just solve this. We solve it through cross multiplication. 23 times x equals 42 times 4. 23 times x and 42 times 4 is 168. So we want to solve for x. So we want to get rid of that 23. So we divide by 23. X equals 7.3. So if she makes 23 cogs in 4 hours, she'll make 42 cogs in 7.3 hours.